All right, welcome friends again. We are on section number 5, and this is a very good section to have. Protein. We're talking about vegetarianism. Where did you get your protein from? Now, protein versus amino acids. That's the section. We are going to actually talk about protein because it is an essential micronutrient, so essential that without it, you are going to be in a deep trouble, okay? And I have to admit to you something. Because we do nutritional consultations and people come with different conditions and diseases and so on, I actually have witnessed many, not few, but many vegetarians with a deficiency in protein. Many. Now, I am a vegetarian. And I believe that you can actually be extremely healthy on a vegetarian diet. But I also have to be facing the reality that there are many out there that for one reason or another, they suffer from protein deficiency. But I heard that within a vegetarian diet, you can get all the protein that you need. Yes, that is correct. But some of us might be putting enough protein through our mouths. But when it gets to this area here, it doesn't filter into our system. And we are actually deprived of the protein. Some of us might actually have such a deficiency in protein that we don't have enough enzymes to break down protein and to absorb protein. Because we don't have enough protein, amino acids are needed for more enzymes production. But because we are lacking, we have less and less enzyme production, and therefore less absorption of protein. So it becomes like a vicious cycle. And I've seen many that they start losing the feeling of the triceps muscle. And they start checking their triceps and say, oh, I can't feel it. I say, yeah, that's one of the signs of muscle wasting. Or they start losing weight very rapidly. And it's like a stick that is carrying a jacket on top. And some of you perhaps have seen it, and some of the people at home, probably they've seen that. And unfortunately, that's the image that some people have of a vegetarian diet, and say, well, if that's the option, don't want to go that way. So we are going to actually study a little bit on protein and amino acids. Now, let me change that. We need protein. The body contains over 30,000 different kinds of proteins. Of these, only about 3,000 have been studied. Now I'm going to ask you a question. Spinach. Does spinach have protein in it, yes or not? Yes. Apple. Yes. What about orange? I hear some people saying yes, and others like, oh, I'm not sure, I don't want to say the wrong thing. But the reality is that protein are polypeptides or chains of amino acids. Some are longer, some are shorter. And basically everything that we eat to one degree or another contains certain type of amino acids line up together into a chain or a peptide that forms a protein. I'm going to tell you names of formed proteins. Insulin. You know, the insulin that your pancreas generates, that's a protein. Guess what happens when you are protein deficient? Your insulin production is going to be in trouble, isn't it? Hormones. Did you know that hormones are actually proteins? Guess how your hormonal production is going to be if you are lacking in protein. You're going to be all over the place with your hormones. Your husband will not like to be near you. And if you are a husband that is lacking on protein, your wife might not like to be near you either. Okay? Now, I'm going to now give you a couple of items, and you're going to tell me if those items are mainly protein or mainly carbohydrates. Okay? Steak. Protein. Okay? Eggs. Protein. Lentils. I knew it, and you fell for it. Lentils are mainly carbohydrates. Do they have protein in it? Yes, depending on the variety, between 14% to 20 to 24%, depending on which variety you're consuming. Chickpeas. Okay, now I definitely confuse you, right? Chickpeas? They're actually carbohydrates. They are between 14% to 20 to 24% protein, depending on the variety. Kidney beans. Okay, you got the idea? You got it. Kidney beans are actually carbohydrates. When we analyze it in the what in the percentage, does it have more carbohydrates or protein? And beans actually have more carbohydrates. But they have, depending on the variety, between about 14% to 20 to 24%, depending on the variety of bean, of protein. Now, quinoa is a great source of protein. Now, quinoa, as we said in Spanish, is a great source of protein. But if you need to check the percentage, is quinoa on the side of protein or on the side of carbohydrates? Carbohydrates. Sorry, Oscar, you're confusing us. No. It has protein, and it has a good source of protein, but it has around 14% to 20 to 24% protein, depending on if it is the white quinoa or the red quinoa or the black quinoa. Well, in fact, there's now a lot of varieties of quinoa, actually. So depending on the variety, is a good source of amino acids. In fact, it's a complete protein. It has a complete profile of essential amino acids. Quinoa has. But as a whole, you're looking at an item of food that contains more carbohydrates than protein. But I was eating lentils because of the protein. Yeah, but they themselves are not protein. It's not like meat. Meat, how much carbohydrates meat have? None. And eggs? None. What is the preferred fuel for the body? Carbohydrates or protein? Carbohydrates. The body runs more efficiently, and the preferred fuel for the body's production of energy is called the Krebs cycle or the citric cycle, and it just drives on glucose. That's how the cycle runs. It runs on glucose. Now, what happens is that when you're running out of glucose because of your diet, your body will actually get it from your fat reservoirs. But guess what? Your body needs to get that fat and make it into glucose so you can utilize it for energy. And when you're just running out of fat, and the body will start eating up your muscle for energy, guess what it has to do with the protein from your muscle? It needs to convert it back into glucose in order to get energy. Because the body runs on glucose. No matter where it gets it from, it will have to get it through the glucose cycle or Krebs cycle. Okay? It has to do it that way. So, in order to actually get energy, the body will need the glucose, which in itself will come from a carbohydrate setting in the ideal scenario, rather than breaking down your muscle, right? However, we need the protein for an amazing number of functions in the body. And we're just going to list a number of them. We need them for building muscles, blood, skin, teeth, bone, nails, hair. Somebody comes through our consultation, and the hair is very, very thin, and the nails are very, very brittle. and we start looking at the first thing, protein deficiency. It might be mineral deficiency. It might be a number of other things, but protein deficiency can be one of those things. Okay, it can be a hormonal imbalance, but also we will see there that the body will need protein to make enzymes, will need protein to make hormones. So it might be a hormonal imbalance, but maybe there's some issues also with your protein. It needs it as neurotransmitters. It needs it for regulating fluid balance, for the acid-base regulators, as transporters, antibodies, as energy source. And those are the non-essential and essential amino acids that form protein chains. Now, on the left, they are the essential ones, which means you need to get them from your diet because your body cannot produce them. When you are a little child, you need 9 of them. When you become older, your body actually is able to have a precursor amino acid that is inbuilt in you to make the 9th one. So when you are an adult, you need 8 essential amino acids. It used to be thought there were 10, then they discovered there were 9, and then they discovered that there were 8. But those 8, you need to get them from the outside. If you don't get them from the outside, you can't make them up. The others, the non-essential, means that you actually make them. You can actually dismantle and make them. You know, the body is an amazing recycling machine. When your red cells break, they are old enough after 120 days, and they're ready to be disregarded. They're ready to actually finish their life and their function. The body doesn't just burn them. It takes them down to the liver and it dismantles them. And whatever it can use, it will use again. And some of that will be chains of amino acids, and it will use it again. Okay? Now, I'll give you just an example, for instance. If we look on the essential site, we look at tryptophan. And tryptophan, that you get it from walnuts. And in fact, if you do this nice spread with walnuts, grounded walnuts, and ground up linseed, and you put a bit of maybe rice syrup or date molasses in it, and you mix it up, and you can use that over a cracker or whatever. That in itself is a great source of tryptophan. Now, we know now that people that suffer from depression are treated with serotonin. And serotonin is made by the body using tryptophan. So when you consume foods that contain tryptophan, you are actually providing the raw material to generate serotonin, the feeling good hormone. But if you are deficient in tryptophan, you most likely will start feeling depressed. Now, if you go to a psychologist, and the psychologist is trying to deal with your mental issues, when your issue is that you have a tryptophan deficiency, are we tackling the problem, yes or not? No. For instance, we have on the other side, glutamic acid or glutamate. That is actually a precursor for the neurotransmitter GABA. And GABA is the feeling relaxed. It's just the feeling relaxed hormone. If something in the precursor is going wrong, or you're missing some of the cofactors, and we'll talk about cofactors in this series too. If you're missing some of that, rather than actually be able to calm down, you will always be very, very tense and stressed. Now, there's other things. For instance, let me have a look at that. Tyrosine. Right at the bottom, tyrosine. That's a precursor for dopamine. That will also help relax your muscles. Okay? So, the essential ones, you need to get them from the diet. And guess what? If you get a bowl of brown rice, how many essential amino acids out of the 8? How many of the, well, over there we have the 9 listed, but out of the 8 or 9, how many of those essential amino acids brown rice has? Does it have the 9? No, it doesn't. Oh. So I need to add something to the brown rice that will fill up those that are still lacking. What will we be using? We can use legumes. We can use nuts. We can use some vegetables. But vegetables are not a good source. No, we're talking about we need to tick the list of the 9. You understand what I'm saying? We need to tick the list of the 9 by combining. So if your diet is based on peanut butter sandwich, in the long run, I can guarantee you are going to be protein deficient. Why? Not because you're not eating enough of the percentage of protein, but you're not eating enough of the amino acids that forms it. You understand what I'm saying? You can actually eat very large percentage of protein of a type of protein that only contains 5 essential amino acids. And the amount of protein is huge, but it only contains 5 essential amino acids, and you will be deficient in some functions. Okay, let me explain how amino acids work. Because when we're talking about protein, really what the body needs is amino acids. I want you to imagine that wall over there as if it was a brick wall. Okay, so in between the bricks, can you see the bricks? Okay, use your imagination. Okay, if I was talking to children, they wouldn't have a problem just seeing that wall as a brick wall. So you have all the bricks, and you have the mortar that actually glues the bricks together. So the mortar is holding the bricks together. The entire wall is a protein, it's a peptide. It's an entire protein formation, a complete protein there. The bricks are the amino acids. Now, I want you to notice that now the bricks have different colors, and some of the colors repeat themselves. Can you see the yellow over there? And there's another yellow over there. Can you see the red there? Yeah, everybody's saying yeah? Good, good. And can you see the red over there? Okay, so some of the colors, some of the amino acids repeat themselves in a particular structure, in a particular chain. Okay? Now, I'm going to eat that protein. I eat the protein, and the protein starts being broken down in my stomach through the acidic environment in my stomach and some gastric enzymes. What it is it breaks down the mortar between the bricks. Because guess what my body wants? The bricks. My body, when we're saying that the body needs protein from the diet, what we really mean is it needs to get to those bricks. Because that piece of wall, I don't need. I need the bricks. Okay? Let's say that piece of wall is the protein found in chickpeas, in eggs, or whatever. I don't need that type of protein. I need the building blocks so I can build my own proteins. You understand? So, my digestive enzymes are working through when those peptides, that chain that forms the entire wall, goes to my duodenum. There's further enzymes there, like protease and trypsin, and they are like little scissors. So this is what happens. You got your chain of amino acids. The mortar is now being softened up by the digestive juices, and now your scissors are chopping them off. And you end up here with a whole mountain of bricks. Oh, beauty. Now, I want to build my own protein. That can be, for instance, insulin. So, insulin does not look like the wall. It looks like something else. So I get the bricks, and I build insulin. I utilize the amino acids, and some amino acids that I can fabricate myself, and I build up insulin here. Insulin does not look like the wall that I just eaten. Did you get that? The body needs to break it down. Now, what happens is the following. Let's say I am going to eat kidney beans. Now, kidney beans have bodyguards. Do you know that? Kidney beans have bodyguards. Do you know that lentils have bodyguards? And chickpeas also have bodyguards. They are called inhibitors. Okay, let me illustrate. Red lentils over here, they're so little, so gentle. The amount of bodyguards that they have is like the president of Spain. You know, the president of Spain has very few bodyguards. Spain is not such an important country. Just a few bodyguards. Those bodyguards are going to give their life to protect the breaking down of the protein on that little red lentil. Now, when you washed the red lentil, you'll get all this fluffy thing coming up in the water. You get rid of that. You're getting rid of inhibitors. You're getting rid of the bodyguards. And then you cook it and you get this froth coming up. You need to get rid of that. You need to get rid of that. Because otherwise you'll be eating the bodyguards with it. Now, what is the mission of the bodyguards? The mission of the bodyguards is the following. You have your chain of amino acids coming up to your duodenum. Your trypsin is here, about to cut it. But on each side, you have the bodyguards. And what is the mission of the bodyguards? They will give their life to prevent you from breaking down the protein. So the protein chain comes this way, the bodyguards go and see you, and you can't break it down. And guess what? When you can't break down that protein, you cannot absorb the bricks because you cannot absorb the entire protein. Oh, but I'm eating the lentils. Yeah, but if the bodyguards are there, you're not absorbing it. So, let's go on to move further. French lentils. They are like the president of France. More important than Spain, a few more bodyguards. Do you know what? Maybe just washing the lentils is not enough when they are French lentils. You need to soak the lentils overnight and get rid of the water. And then you cook it. And then the froth that comes up, you need to get rid of it. And if you are especially sensitive to bodyguards, you even need to get rid of that water and then make a sauce and use the cooked lentils as means, and make your sauce with it. Chickpeas. President of England. Many more bodyguards. So what did I do with chickpeas? I soak them, get rid of the water. You know all that frothy things? You know what they are? They're the dead bodies of the bodyguards. Because if I eat them with the bodyguards, I'm not going to get access to that protein. The bodyguards are going to prevent my trypsin, that's why they're called trypsin inhibitors, from cutting down and then get the bricks and assimilate them. And furthermore, because I am not able to cut down the protein and I'm not able to absorb that protein, despite the fact that I'm putting it through here, that foam protein goes further down the duodenum into the large intestine. And you know what happens to protein when there's nothing that breaks it down in the proper way? It goes off. It putrefies. That's actually what smells in Australia on a summer day when somebody has hit a kangaroo on the side of the road. And you go by 3 days later, what it smells is the broken down protein by the wrong type of bacteria. And I have to say that some people seem to me that they have a dead kangaroo inside. If you think that you have a dead kangaroo inside, that means that you are not absorbing protein. So we got the chickpeas. We soak them, we get rid of the water. And guess what else? We soak them again and we get rid of the water. We cook them and we get rid of the water. We soak them, get rid of the water, soak them, get rid of the water, cook them and get rid of the water. Why? Very simply, I'm going to get rid of the bodyguards. Beans, kidney beans especially, President of America. Lots of bodyguards. Lots of bodyguards. You need to soak them, get rid of the water, soak them, get rid of the water, soak them, get rid of the water, cook them and get rid of the water. In Spain, they soaked them, they cooked in the same water and make a casserole with it, and you know, and the old grandmothers will say, "Oh, no, that's what it gives it the taste." And then everybody is having that gas station issue because, and by the way, no protein is being absorbed, not the protein that you meant to be absorbing. Okay? So how do I do? Do I just soak a little bit? No. My wife just gets a few kilos of chickpeas, for instance, or a few kilos of whatever legume, soaks in a big bucket, and then gets rid of the water, soaks in a big bucket and gets rid of the water, and then puts them in freezer bags. They're already soaked, they're already ready to cook, and puts them in the freezer. So you don't have to do it every time that you are going to cook them. You do it once, but you do a big batch. Rather than having to do it 20 times. We need to be efficient. Soybean. So we spoke about the kidney bean. Who was the kidney bean? President of America. Soybean. Well, it has to be the Pope. Lots of bodyguards. Entire Swiss army protecting the Vatican. Lots of it. Now, careful with what I'm going to say. You soak it. You get rid of the water. Why do you get rid of the water? The inhibitors they are in the water. You soak them, you get rid of the water. You cook them to get rid of the water. Now, you know how they make tofu? In the traditional way, Chinese and Japanese way, they do exactly that. They soak them, get rid of the water, soak them, get rid of the water, cook them, get rid of all the froth, and they cook it, and they cook it, and they cook it, and they cook it for 6 hours. Why? Because they recognize, they call it, there's a poison on the beans. Now we know that they are inhibitors. Now, soybeans are an excellent source of protein. You just need to get to them. It's like trying to kiss the hand of the Pope. Probably will be a unique experience in your life, but you just need to you just need to get there to do it, right? So, great source of protein. How are you going to get there? Now, the traditional way of making tofu, it took 6 hours of getting rid of all the froth that was coming, Then they put this breaker in which they coagulates the protein of it. And what do they do with the water? They get rid of the water. Did you get there? Did you get that? They got all the froth out, and then by putting the what do you call it? The minari, which is I think it's called minari, which actually breaks down and coagulates, like you will make cheese, and you get rid of the water. So the entire thing that I've been telling you is the inhibitors end up in the water by cooking and by soaking. In the water, you need to get rid of the water, you need to get rid of the water. Soy milk. What are you drinking? The water. When you make soy milk, you get rid of the bean and you drink the water. That's why for many, many years, when they were making soy formula for babies, they struggle because they will put all these minerals, they will put all the essentials there, and the babies will still show signs of deficiency. Why? Because the bean itself was loaded with inhibitors that prevented the digestive system of that child to absorb them. Okay? Did I scare you already? Okay. So, consider the signs. Muscle and joint pain. Muscle wasting. Muscle wasting is when you're losing this rapid waste of you're losing weight, and you notice that, well, what's going on? You know, it's like I'm on my frame, but I'm losing my muscle. Okay, that's muscle wasting. Sugar craving. Why? Because you are depriving protein, and some of the hormonal factory in your body is not working because you don't have the materials. Lethargic. Slow wound healing. That's a big one. Flaggy and dry skin. Anxiety and depression. Deep cross lines in the nails. These are actually not the long lines, but actually crossing. Okay, crossing the nail like that. Okay, those are actually signs, and that actually in the nails of both the fingers and your toes. Insomnia. Loss of libido. Menstrual disturbances. Why will menstrual disturbances be there? Because the menstrual cycle of the ladies are hormonal based. Increased water retention. People with edema, or people that, I've got my legs, just get very swollen. It can actually be a sign that you're actually losing protein. Weight loss, skin ulcers. There's a number of signs that even yourself might actually experience, or of people. We need protein, but we need to get the protein inside where it belongs and where the body can actually utilize it. Your diet ought to be encompassing a great variety of ingredients, and it has to be more than potatoes. Do potatoes have protein? Yes. Have people survived in Siberia only with potatoes? Yes. But those people had deficiencies at the end of a number of years too. And if there's nothing else but potatoes, isn't that amazing and beautiful to think that if it's nothing else but potatoes, you can still survive? But we're not talking about surviving. We're talking about thriving. It's a different thing. We're not talking about I survive on potatoes. I am thriving with what I'm eating. Quinoa, the complete profile. If you want to know how to cook the quinoa properly, go to YouTube and type how the Peruvians cook quinoa. Why the Peruvians? Because they've been cooking quinoa for over 1,000 years. And they actually cook this fluffy quinoa that it tastes like, it just has that consistency of white rice. And it's a gluten-free, and we'll talk about that in future presentations. It's a tremendous source of complete amino acid profile. Remember how I said to you before that if you eat the brown rice, you're not getting the entire profile of essential amino acids, and you'll have to put other things to it to compensate or to add on? Well, quinoa has it all, has the entire profile. So with a salad, quinoa salad, you're actually getting the entire profile of protein. So get to know this little fella. Maca. This is a powder and comes from the Andes. And I had a friend of mine that said, we should grow maca here in Australia. And I said, no, you don't want to. Oh, why not? Because nobody will like it. Oh, why not? Because maca, a part of having the entire profile of essential amino acids, it has a tremendous source of minerals there. That's what it makes it a superfood. So what happens when you grow it in Australia? The soil is not in the minerals are not in the soil. So if the minerals are not in the soil, are not in the maca. So we actually have, you have to buy it organic, and it comes from Peru, and you add a little bit of, you can sprinkle over your breakfast, and it has like a nutty flavor. And I like it. It's beautiful. Sometimes I put it in my smoothies. You know, you put a couple of banana smoothies, some almond milk. Notice that I said almond milk? Okay. And some maca. Okay. Nuts, seeds, and some vegetable protein powders. The nuts and seeds perfectly activated. And we'll tell you what activated nuts and seeds are. And some veggie protein powders. Why some vegetable protein powders, and what are they? Now, what is the requirement of protein for an individual? I'll have to say it depends. Because if I'm running a marathon, or if I'm training for a marathon, and your daily work is just sitting down in front of a computer, are you going to have the same protein requirements that I am going to have? No. So when I'm actually on training, on heavy training, I actually have a brown rice, sprouted protein powder that I add to my milkshake or my smoothie, and add extra. Why? Because I am demanding from my muscles extra. And if you don't have enough protein, your muscles are not going to heal properly. It is amazing to see how many people that run the Ironman, how many of you have heard of the Ironman? Those guys swim for 4 kilometers, cycle for 180 Ks, and then finish off with a complete marathon, and they do that within the professionals within 8 hours. Okay? 8 to 9 hours, the professionals. The majority of them are basically vegetarians. The majority of them are basically vegetarians. They might eat some trout, they might eat some salmon, some fish here and there for omega-3s and whatever they think they need it for. But overall, they're very, very much vegetarian, apart of just having maybe some eggs here or some cottage cheese here and there, but very much vegetarian. Those guys, I can assure you, they don't look like this. I've seen people in their 50s completing Ironmans, basically on 98% plant-based diet, on a 98% plant-based diet, and those guys are muscly. Why? Because they understand that they need to make sure that the protein intake is coming in. And they do it with protein powders from brown rice, for instance. Why? Because it's gluten-free, it's not provoking any inflammation or any bloatiness or whatever, and it's fulfilling the requirements because they are in heavy training. Okay? A friend of ours, he's in his 70s, he went to get a massage. He will go to this person, and this person will give him a massage every so often, you know, when he was stressed or whatever. Once a month he will go there. Then for a few months he didn't go, and he was in his 70s. And he was in his 70s, and he was receiving this massage, and the person said to my friend, "Oh, you're losing muscle. Just by doing the massage, you're losing muscle." So he was all terrified. He went home and he started drinking soy milk and soy milk and soy milk and soy milk and soy milk. And then he went again a month later, and he said, "You're losing feather muscle." He said, "Oh, he can't be." He called me on the phone and said, "Oscar, he told me that I was losing muscle. I went home and I was drinking soy milk until it was coming out of my ears, and now he's telling me that I'm feather losing muscle." Then I explained to him about, you soak it, you get rid of the water, soak it, you get rid of the water, but you're drinking the water with all inhibitors. You get the protein there, but you can't get access to it. So they said, when you get your smoothies, you put a tablespoon of maca and you put a tablespoon of vegetable protein, rice protein, okay, brown rice protein. Why? Because he was in a state in which he needed that, as an Ironman will need it. And sure enough, he didn't say anything to the person that was giving him massage. He didn't say anything. It took 1 month. He went back, lay down on the table. The person started doing the massage, and he said, "Oh, what are you doing?" "You're doing something. What are you doing?" 1 month. And I said, "Oh, what other things have you noticed?" "Oh, my skin is firmer." Because You need muscle to hold this up. Okay? Digested enzymes supplementation might be needed for a while. Why? Because if you are deficient in protein, you don't have the capabilities to create enough amount of digested enzymes, because digested enzymes are formed by amino acids. So now you want to increase your protein intake, but there's nothing here to receive it. So for a while, you might actually need to use digested enzymes. And make sure you get something more than just bromelain. So we have here a list of at least 5. Bromelain, papain, lipase, protease, alpha amylase. You can get them from health food shops. And what they are is just helping you now to get that protein inside. Once the protein starts coming inside, now you'll have enough amino acids to make your own enzymes, and eventually you won't need the enzymes. Okay? By the way, the bromelain, the papain, where do they come from? Bromelain from the pineapple. Papain from the papaya. Okay? So they're all plant-based enzymes. Okay? And what it is like somebody that needs to learn to walk. You don't tell him to run the 100 meters if he's learning to walk. You tell him what? Okay, we are going to use these crutches for a while. Okay? Those are the enzymes, digested enzymes. Once you start getting better at it, you remove one of them. Once you are comfortable with holding your own weight, you remove the other way. So is there anything wrong to you by using the crutches if they need it for a while? No, there's nothing wrong. They're giving you a function, they're helping you out, and then when you are able to stand with your own feet, you remove it. Now, currently, because of the stress, because the way we eat in 5 minutes, we masticate very little, and because of the stress and lack of protein absorption also, we are diminishing our capability, the capability of our digestive enzymes. Some people, vegetarians and non-vegetarians, might actually need digestive enzymes for a while. Okay? Digestive enzymes for a while, because they're not making enough themselves. Okay? All right.